You've been wearing red to feel bold, because someone once said red brings power. You placed a golden-framed picture near your entryway, thinking it would invite abundance. Maybe you even bought green plants for your office, hoping they'd spark fresh energy and growth. And yet, something still feels stuck. The money doesn't flow like it should. Opportunities hesitate as if they've lost your address. You've followed every lucky color, rule, so why does it feel like you're still waiting for the door to open? Here, what most people don't realize. Color isn't just visual, it's vibrational. And using the right color in the wrong place is like pouring sunlight onto soil that can't absorb it. That lucky red, if placed near your bed, it can stir restlessness and inner tension. That gold pillow on your couch. Without balance, it can amplify pressure rather than prosperity. Even gentle green, when stuck in a dark corner, might not grow wealth, it might just grow dust. You see, successful women, the ones building lives of quiet abundance, not just bank accounts, they don't follow color fads. They choose tones like they choose words in a prayer, carefully, intentionally, with deep trust in the energy they wish to invite. So today, let's gently unlearn what you thought you knew about lucky colors. Let's walk through the palette not as decorators, but as women designing energy. Because when the color around you aligns with the purpose within you, money doesn't just come. It stays. Shall we begin? 1. Red when fire burns too hot. There's a reason red never goes unnoticed. It's the color of roses and warning signs, lipstick and emergency buttons. It doesn't ask for attention, it takes it. Red is movement. It's the pounding of the heart when you're about to speak your truth. It's the rush of energy when an idea hits and your fingers can't write fast enough. And in many traditions, it's long been known as the color of vitality, passion, and yes, prosperity. So naturally, many of us reach for red when we want to call in more wealth. A red wallet, a red scarf, red candles by the front door. We surround ourselves with red, believing it will ignite our fortune. But here's the subtle truth no one tells you. Red only attracts wealth when your space is ready to receive it. Otherwise, it just lights a fire that burns without direction. I once visited a woman who had carefully arranged her home using every Feng Shui tip she could find online. Her entryway had 2 red vases to draw energy in. Her bedroom had red sheets to enhance vitality. Even her office, small, windowless, painted white, had a deep crimson rug right beneath her chair. She had done everything she was told would bring abundance, but what she felt instead was pressure. Her sleep was restless. Her conversations more tense, and her finances, instead of growing, seemed to stall. When I asked how she felt in her space, her answer was immediate: exhausted. That's when I knew red had overstepped its welcome. You see, red is not just a color, it's fire energy. And like fire, it needs containment. Placed thoughtfully, red brings warmth, life, motivation. But when scattered without awareness, it becomes noise, friction, even chaos. Especially in rooms where stillness is sacred, like your bedroom, red can pull the mind into overdrive. You lie down to rest, but your body still feels like it's in motion. Your dreams become vivid, restless. Your thoughts too loud to let go. And in areas meant for focus, like a reading nook or office corner, too much red can confuse the flow. Instead of inviting productivity, it floods the space with anxiety, the kind that says, "I should be doing more," even when you've done enough. So does that mean we avoid red entirely? Not at all. Red, when used with intention, becomes powerful. Think of it as the flame at the tip of a candle, small, focused, transformative. It doesn't need to dominate a space to be effective. Try placing a red ceramic bowl near your front door to activate energy coming into the home. Or line the inside of your wallet with deep red fabric, a quiet symbol of wealth resting close to your abundance. Add a single red flower to a calm, neutral room, not to overwhelm, but to remind the space. I'm alive, I'm present, I'm ready. One woman I worked with simply changed her office rug from crimson to soft beige and added a small red glass paperweight beside her keyboard. Within a month, she said her work felt more focused, and she landed her first new client in over 6 months. Because red, like all powerful things, works best when balanced. It needs room to breathe. It needs silence to echo against. So the next time you feel drawn to red, pause, ask yourself, what am I trying to ignite? And is this the right place for fire? Because true wealth isn't loud. It doesn't need to shout to be heard. It arrives quietly, steadily, when the flame is steady and the space is ready to hold it. To gold, the quiet glow that tells wealth, you're welcome here. Gold isn't about luxury. It's about presence. That soft shimmer that lingers on the edge of a photo frame at sunrise. The gentle glow from a brass lamp that doesn't demand attention but holds it anyway. Gold doesn't chase the spotlight. It is the spotlight, calm, steady, waiting for the right moment to warm the room. And in the language of energy, gold doesn't shout, "Look at me." It whispers, "You belong here." We're told gold attracts wealth, that it carries the frequency of prosperity. So we add it, sometimes eagerly, into our homes, hoping it will open doors and raise bank balances. A golden vase here, a metallic cushion there, maybe a full set of glimmering trinkets we saw in a Feng Shui guidebook. And then nothing. The money doesn't move, the energy stays flat. Worse, sometimes the room begins to feel loud, heavy, a little too shiny, like it's trying too hard. That's the paradox of gold. It has immense power, but only when it's placed with elegance. It thrives in simplicity, not excess. Used carelessly, gold turns from magnetism into mimicry. It stops feeling sacred and starts feeling desperate. And wealth, which has the refined instinct of a seasoned guest, knows the difference. It doesn't come where it feels manipulated. It only lingers where it feels respected. I once met a woman who'd heard gold would help her attract high-paying clients. So she transformed her home office into a golden chamber. Gold-framed certificates, gold-trimmed bookshelves, even a golden desk lamp shaped like a dollar sign. She said she felt excited at first, powerful, affirmed. But within weeks, she started feeling pressure in that room, tightness in her chest, overwhelm. She wasn't receiving more, she was pushing harder, and the clients still weren't coming. When we looked deeper, it wasn't about the gold. It was about the intention behind it, one of overcompensation, of trying to look wealthy instead of feeling supported from within. Her energy didn't need more sparkle. It needed grounding, so we made a shift. We kept only 2 things, a soft gold candle holder near her computer and a framed picture of her favorite quote, not about success, but about self-worth. Everything else we let go. And slowly the room exhaled. She did too. Within a month, she had 3 new clients, none of them dazzled by décor, all drawn to the calm clarity she now radiated. That's the real gift of gold. It stabilizes, it affirms, it carries the energy of already enough. It doesn't push, it doesn't beg, it simply holds, like the sun rising each day without needing applause. Like old jewelry passed through generations, not valuable because it's expensive, but because it carries meaning. So how do we use gold well? Place it where you want your worth to be seen and honored. Not flaunted, just recognized. A gold-accented tray on your entry table, reminding you that everything crossing your threshold is a reflection of your value. A warm brass reading lamp beside your bed, so your last thoughts at night are touched by quiet brilliance. Even a golden spoon you use for morning tea, a silent ceremony that says, "I start my day with grace." And the most powerful use of gold? One you may never show anyone. A gold bookmark tucked into a journal where you write your intentions. A golden hairpin you wear on days you need quiet courage. A piece of gold jewelry you inherited, worn not for style, but for strength. Because wealth doesn't only respond to action, it responds to alignment. And gold, when used from that space of calm inner worth, becomes not just a tool, but a tuning fork. It calls in prosperity not by asking, but by embodying. So next time you consider adding gold to your space, pause, don't ask, "Will this make me look abundant?" Ask, "Does this reflect the abundance I already carry?" Because gold doesn't create value, it reveals it. And when placed with reverence, it doesn't just decorate a room, it reminds you of what was always yours. 3. Green, the quiet forest that helps money grow roots. Green is the breath between heartbeats, the pause between inhale and exhale, the quiet that settles when you've finally stopped trying to prove yourself. More than any other color, green speaks in the voice of patience. It doesn't chase wealth. It nurtures it like a forest slowly building its canopy, one leaf at a time. You've probably heard that green symbolizes growth, health, abundance. It's the color of fresh starts, of nature, of opportunity. So it's no surprise that when people want more money, they often turn to green. They add leafy plants to their homes, paint offices in sage or mint, or choose green notebooks to journal business ideas. But like all energies, green only works when it flows, and most people unknowingly block that flow. Here, that's what I mean. I've walked into homes with beautiful green arrangements, lush plants in every corner, green pillows on every couch, even deep emerald curtains. And yet the energy felt heavy, not alive but crowded, not growing but stuck. It's not the green that was wrong, it was the way it had been left to stagnate. Because green, in its truest form, is a living energy. It's not just a color, it's a cycle. Think of a tree. It needs light, air, water, time. You can't force it to grow by putting more soil on top. The same applies to wealth. You don't grow it by piling on more green things. You grow it by clearing space, giving light, and letting your energy breathe. One woman I worked with had turned her small home office into what she called her green sanctuary. Ivy curled around her windows. Snake plants stood tall in every corner. A moss wall covered one side entirely. She wanted to create a fertile ground for her coaching business to flourish, but what she felt instead was fatigue. Her thoughts were scattered, her motivation low. Despite the beauty of the space, she said she often avoided it altogether. When we looked closer, the problem wasn't aesthetic, it was energetic. The room had become dense, overgrown. The plants, though alive, weren't placed with purpose. They blocked windows, sat in dry soil. The space had turned from a place of growth into a place of obligation, where the maintenance drained her instead of feeding her. So we started removing, not all of it, just enough to let the room breathe again. We placed one single plant, a healthy, happy pothos, by the window where it could drink in light. We brought in a soft green throw over her chair and a pale jade stone on her desk. Within days, she felt clearer. 2 weeks later, she relaunched her coaching program. Clients followed. That's the lesson of green. Growth happens in space, not in clutter, not in efforting, in quiet openness. Green energy works best when paired with flow, airiness, movement, light. A pale green wall bathed in sunlight. A single eucalyptus branch in a tall, clear vase. A plant that's not just pretty, but thriving. These small acts invite not just beauty, but momentum. There's another side to green that people often miss. It's emotional honesty. Green opens the heart. It helps release grief, resentment, old money stories we've buried in busyness. That's why green feels both soothing and vulnerable. It asks us to slow down and listen, to feel where we're still holding tight. And that's not always comfortable, but comfort is not the goal. Alignment is. And when you align with green energy, not as decoration, but as healing, your relationship with money softens. You stop chasing. You start tending. And in that tending, something takes root. So how can you invite green in with purpose? Start small. A plant you truly love, not when you feel guilty for forgetting to water. A green ceramic bowl where you place coins, not because it's trendy, but because it feels grounding. A piece of jade you hold when reviewing finances, as a gesture of peace, not pressure. You can even wear green intentionally on days when you're nurturing a new idea. Choose a soft scarf, a pale blouse, not to be seen, but to remind yourself, I am in the season of planting, not harvesting. I trust what's growing beneath the surface. Because that's what green teaches us. That wealth is not a race. It's a rhythm. And when we slow down enough to hear it, to feel it rising quietly like spring under our feet, we realize we were never stuck. We were just waiting for the right light. 4. Purple, the quiet majesty that needs space to breathe. Purple is not a color that knocks. It arrives quietly, like a memory you didn't expect but suddenly remember in full detail. A perfume on a scarf, a note in an old drawer, the sound of rain on a window from years ago. It holds depth, mystery, a certain dignity that doesn't need to explain itself. Of all the wealth colors, purple speaks the softest, and yet it echoes the longest. In energy work, purple connects to vision, not just dreaming, but truly seeing. It's the color of intuitive clarity, of insight, of that still place inside you that already knows what's next. And when used well, purple can elevate a space into something sacred. A reading nook becomes a retreat. A writing desk becomes a place of quiet authority. A hallway with a lavender runner doesn't just feel designed, it feels intentional. But purple, like wisdom, is not meant for every corner. And that's where people often misstep. Because of its spiritual connotation, its connection to royalty, insight, even higher consciousness, many use purple to raise the frequency of a room. They paint meditation spaces in violet. They hang purple drapes in their living rooms. They buy deep plum bedding hoping to awaken restful intuition. But what they often don't realize is that purple, when placed near emotional heaviness, doesn't lift it, it intensifies it. I once sat with a woman who had turned her bedroom into what she called her healing cave. Thick purple curtains, lavender walls, amethyst crystals by her bed. She wanted peace, reconnection, a return to herself after her husband's passing. But instead of comfort, she felt more grief, more heaviness. Her sleep was vivid and turbulent, her mornings slow and fogged. Purple was doing its job, amplifying the energy already there. And in a room still echoing with sadness, it was like pouring ink into water, beautiful but blinding. So we softened. We exchanged the curtains for a warm neutral, kept just a single lavender pillow, moved the amethyst to her meditation altar, and brought in more white, more green, more breath. Slowly her nights softened too, her dreams gentled, her mornings cleared. That's the delicate truth about purple, it reflects what's beneath. It's not for masking, it's for mirroring. And when used too soon, in spaces where the heart hasn't fully exhaled, it can make the pain louder before healing has even begun. But when your energy is ready, when you've already begun to sift, to settle, to find your footing, purple becomes one of the most powerful allies you can call in. It helps refine intention, clarify direction, align your outer world with your inner knowing. And unlike more active colors, purple doesn't spark movement. It cultivates alignment. It doesn't push you forward, it clears the path so you can walk in peace. So how do we use purple wisely? Begin with gentleness, lavender over violet, soft hues that hold space, not command it. A lavender candle on your desk to calm your thoughts. A plum throw over a neutral chair, a quiet place to land. Amethyst on your altar, not as decoration, but as a companion, and never all at once. Purple needs room to breathe, too much and it closes in. Purple also works beautifully in spaces of reflection. Near your journal, around books you love, in places where you go not to do, but to remember. It also pairs well with silence, meaning, don't surround it with busy patterns or noisy designs. Let it stand quietly. Let it speak when it's ready. And above all, ask yourself what energy you're really calling in. If you want clarity, true, deep clarity, purple can help you see. But if you're still holding on to unspoken grief, purple may ask you to face it first. That's the power and the risk. Purple doesn't perform, it reveals. And only when you're ready to look inward will it open the doors to deeper wealth, the kind that isn't just in your account, but in your presence. Because wealth at its highest frequency is not about having more. It's about knowing who you are when everything quiets down. Purple holds that knowing softly, patiently, until you're ready to claim it. 5. Blue when calm becomes cold. Blue is the breath after the storm. The pause after a long conversation when everything that needed to be said has been said. It's the stillness of an early morning lake, no ripples, no rush, just reflection. It's no wonder so many people turn to blue when they want peace. In a world that often feels too loud, too fast, too much, blue offers a quiet retreat, a soft place to land. And in energy terms, blue is the color of calm, a natural soother for the nervous system, a balm for busy minds. But here's the paradox. Blue can quiet the noise or it can silence the signal. Because while blue brings calm, too much of it, or the wrong shade in the wrong place, doesn't just settle the energy. It flattens it. It takes the warmth out of the room and sometimes out of you. I once visited a woman who had painted her bedroom a deep nautical blue. She said it helped her sleep, and at first it did. But over time, her sleep turned into avoidance. She felt heavy in the mornings, uninspired. She started skipping her morning walks, lingering in bed longer, scrolling instead of journaling. She couldn't explain why, only that everything feels a little too quiet. That's what blue can do when it over-anchors. It doesn't soothe. It sedates. Energetically, blue slows things down, which can be powerful when used with balance in a busy kitchen, for example, where communication and movement can benefit from a cooler tone. Or in a high-pressure workspace, where blue can help dial down anxiety and bring clarity. But in spaces that already feel inward, bedrooms, unused corners, meditation zones, blue can tip the energy from peaceful to numb. It's also a deeply emotional color. Blue touches the throat and the heart, the places we speak from, the places we feel through. That's why it often appears in times of quiet sadness, even if nothing is obviously wrong. You might add a blue throw to your couch and suddenly find yourself journaling memories you hadn't thought about in years. Blue opens the emotional tide, and if your space has no outlet for expression, it just pools there. But this doesn't mean blue is a color to fear. Quite the opposite. When placed with clarity, blue can be one of the most supportive energies for thoughtful decision-making, gentle focus, and emotional balance. It helps regulate pace. It reminds us to breathe. It brings order to chaos, not by controlling, but by softening. So how can you use blue in a way that heals rather than hushes? First, choose your tone with care. Sky blues and soft aquas feel fresh, hopeful. They're ideal for bathrooms, kitchens, or small creative corners. These lighter tones lift the energy without overwhelming. Deeper blues like navy or indigo can be grounding, but they need contrast. Think a navy cushion against a white chair, an indigo vase beside a gold-framed photo. Let blue be the pause, not the full sentence. Second, pair blue with elements that warm and open. Natural wood, candlelight, gold or brass accents. These soften blue's cool edge and keep the space emotionally alive. A pale blue wall in the dining room feels welcoming when paired with a wooden table and soft linens. A blue lamp in your study comes alive beside a warm-toned plant pot or a woven basket. Third, be mindful of where blue lands in your home. Avoid using it as the dominant tone in places where you want motivation and momentum, like the entryway or workspace. In those areas, blue can slow things too much, turning drive into hesitation. Instead, reserve blue for where calm is needed but clarity still matters. Your meditation cushion, your bath corner, your favorite window chair where you think before you act. And finally, use blue when you're ready to listen. To yourself, to silence, to the space between what's been and what's becoming. Because that's where blue thrives, not in fixing, but in holding space. One woman I worked with added a simple blue bowl to her entry table. Not flashy, not symbolic, just a quiet vessel to place her keys and notes each day. Over time, it became a ritual, a reminder to pause, exhale, reset. That bowl, still, gentle, dependable, changed the energy of how she entered and exited her own life. That's what blue offers, a return to center, a space to pause, not forever, but long enough to remember who you are when no one's asking anything of you. 6. White, the doorway to new beginnings. White is often misunderstood. We call it empty, blank, even sterile. But white is not the absence of energy, it is the invitation, the clean slate, the deep inhale before something begins. White holds the space others fill. And in a world that often clings to clutter, physical, emotional, energetic, white is the one color brave enough to say, "Let it go." At first glance, white may seem too simple to attract wealth. There's no sparkle, no warmth, no color to it at all. But that's exactly why it works when used with care. Because in the language of energy, white is pure potential. It represents clarity, openness, lightness. And in a space where wealth energy feels stagnant or crowded, white becomes the breath of fresh air that clears the way. But like all powerful things, white is double-edged. When used without grounding, it becomes cold. Too much white walls, white floors, white furniture can strip a home of personality. Instead of feeling expansive, it begins to feel like absence. And absence, energetically, doesn't attract abundance, it reflects it away. I once worked with a woman who had recently downsized her home after retiring. Wanting a fresh start, she repainted everything white, every room, every door, every cabinet. She said it helped her feel clean again, but after a few months, she noticed a strange emptiness in her daily life. Not just in the home, but in herself. She found it harder to focus. She avoided hosting. She said, "It feels like I live in a blank page I'm too tired to write on." White, in its true power, doesn't stand alone. It needs contrast, not to overpower it, but to give it meaning. A white wall becomes radiant when sunlight hits it through a sheer curtain. A white bedsheet feels sacred when paired with a linen-colored throw or a book placed gently on the corner. White holds. It holds light. It holds energy. It holds you, but only if you give it something to hold. The most healing use of white is in transition, when you're between seasons of life. When you've let go of something, a relationship, a business, an old belief, and you're not yet sure what's coming next. White is the friend that says, you don't have to fill the space right now. Just rest here, just be. That's why white works beautifully in entryways, the threshold of energy coming in and going out. A small white bowl where you place your daily essentials. A white painted bench that invites you to pause before heading into the world. These aren't design choices. They're rituals. They signal readiness, not desperation, but quiet openness. White also works in spaces of reflection, bedrooms, meditation corners, even closets. Yes, closets. A single white shelf neatly arranged. A white scarf hung on the inside of the door. These tiny moments remind your energy. Space is not emptiness. It's a container for what's to come. But perhaps the most powerful use of white, a simple white cloth laid over a surface you want to reset. A table that's carried too many unpaid bills. A dresser cluttered with makeup and receipts. A nightstand too full of noise. Cover it, not to hide but to honor. To say, this surface, this space, this season, it deserves a new beginning. One client told me she draped a white cloth over her office desk every Friday evening. It became a ritual, the closing of the week, the marking of rest. On Monday, she'd remove it with intention, lighting a candle and beginning again. That single act transformed her work. Not because of what she did, but because of how she allowed herself to stop. Because that's what white teaches. That starting over isn't about action. It's about clearing space in your home, your mind, your heart, and trusting that what is meant to come next will arrive when you're ready. So if you're in a season of stuckness, if the energy feels cluttered or clouded, don't reach for more. Try reaching for less. A clean table, an uncluttered shelf, a single white pillow where your body can rest without expectation. Because sometimes the wealth you're waiting for can't find you, not because it's far, but because there's nowhere for it to land. White makes space, and in that space the new begins. 7. Black, the silent strength that must be grounded. Black is the color most misunderstood. It is seen as heavy, ominous, even negative. But in the world of energy, black is not darkness, it is containment. The rich, fertile soil beneath the garden. The stillness that lets sound echo. The night sky where stars can finally be seen. Black holds, black protects, black absorbs. And when used with wisdom, it becomes one of the most powerful energetic anchors in any space. But like all energies of depth, black does not tolerate misuse. Too much of it, or used without care, and black doesn't ground you. It swallows. I've walked into rooms where black dominates, sleek furniture, dark walls, heavy curtains. The intention was usually sophistication. The feeling, however, was often isolation. The kind of silence that doesn't soothe but echoes loneliness. That's because black, while elegant, is also dense. It pulls energy inward. It's the color of retreat, reflection, closure. In a balanced space, black provides structure. But when overused, especially in small or dimly lit rooms, it begins to consume the light it was meant to support. I once worked with a woman who had remodeled her dining room with all black elements. Matte black table, black velvet chairs, even a chandelier with black crystal drops. It was dramatic, visually striking. But she confessed that family dinners had become shorter, quieter, more distant. The room, she said, feels like a beautiful box that no one wants to open. So we softened it. We added warm golds, a candle holder, napkin rings, a subtle frame on the wall, a cream-colored runner across the table, a mirror to bounce some morning light into the space. The room didn't lose its elegance, but it gained breath. Conversation returned. Meals lingered longer because black, when given contrast, reveals more than shadow. It reveals depth. Black is also the color of protection. It creates energetic boundaries, not walls, but edges. Used at entry points, black can shield a space from outside chaos. A black doormat, a dark stone by the front door, a charcoal-painted planter. These are not decorative choices. They are energetic filters. They say, what enters here must slow down, must be intentional. In your personal space, black is useful where you need containment, like a drawer that holds your private journals, or a jewelry box lined with dark velvet. A black headboard can anchor your rest, keeping the mind from drifting too far at night. A black lamp base can stabilize the flicker of ideas in your workspace. But avoid making black the dominant voice in areas meant for connection: living rooms, kitchens, entryways. There it can cool warmth, dampen spontaneity, mute laughter, and never let black be the only color in a space. It needs light, texture, contrast. Without them, black doesn't hold, it hides. Even in clothing, black tells a story. Many wear it to feel confident, pulled together, less exposed. And that works as long as you balance it with intention. A colorful scarf, a gold ring, a red lip, because black absorbs. And if your energy is already low, it may pull you deeper into that space of quiet, sometimes too deep. One woman I guided began wearing all black after a major career shift. It made her feel safe, focused. But months later, she told me she felt invisible, as if she'd erased herself in the process of rebuilding. All it took was a simple addition, a soft green shawl, a warm pendant, and she began to feel seen again, not by others. By herself. That's the subtle magic of black. It can cloak or it can crown. It can hide or it can hold. It depends on how you meet it. If you use black to withdraw from the world, it will happily wrap you in stillness. But if you use it to root yourself, with light nearby, with warmth in reach, it will make you unshakable. So ask yourself, where do you need more protection, not as a wall, but as a boundary? Where in your space do you need to feel held, not hidden? That's where black belongs. Because wealth, real wealth, is not only about invitation, it's about containment. You don't just open the doors. You also need to hold the energy once it enters. Black knows how to do that, quietly, steadily, powerfully. 8. Pink, the whisper of affection that money responds to gently. Pink rarely walks into a room loudly. It doesn't demand attention or shout to be noticed. Instead, it waits, like the softest petal just beginning to open, or the quiet kindness in someone's voice when they say your name with care. In the energy of wealth, pink is not ambition or achievement, it is permission. The permission to receive, to soften, to allow love, safety, and prosperity to arrive through gentleness instead of struggle. In a world that often celebrates force, pink offers the opposite. It teaches that abundance doesn't always have to be earned through exhaustion. It can be welcomed through worthiness. It reminds us that financial flow can come through joy, not just effort. Through connection, not just strategy. And that softness is not weakness, but wisdom in its most relaxed form. Many overlook pink in their homes because it's been too often labeled as feminine, decorative, or childish. But energetically, pink is profound. It heals the parts of you that have been hardened by scarcity, competition, or the need to prove your value. It wraps those edges in kindness, in presence, in care, and that shift alone from defense to openness is enough to invite in a completely new kind of wealth. I once visited a woman who had built a successful business but confessed she still felt disconnected from her own success. She created a beautiful office, sharp, minimalist, efficient, but it felt cold. She told me, I've achieved everything I set out to, and yet I still feel like I'm waiting to arrive in my own life. We added one thing, a soft, blush-colored shawl over the back of her chair. That was it, but something in her softened. The space felt less like a strategy hub and more like a seat of vision. She started lighting a rose-scented candle during her afternoon breaks. She noticed she was kinder in client meetings, more generous with herself when things didn't go to plan. Within a few months, she was attracting higher-value clients, not because she changed her pitch, but because she began radiating a quiet, grounded confidence. That's what pink does. It doesn't convince, it connects. In Feng Shui, pink is associated with love, self-care, and gentle magnetism. It doesn't push opportunities forward, it draws them in. Not out of urgency, but from a space of calm assurance. I am already enough. But like all healing energies, pink must be placed with intention. Too much pink, especially overly bright synthetic tones, can tip into fantasy over sweetness or avoidance. It becomes a mask rather than a medicine. You're not trying to live inside a bubblegum shop. You're inviting in a softness that strengthens, not dilutes. So where does pink belong? Anywhere you want to feel held, cherished, and open to receive. A rose-colored throw on your reading chair, reminding you that rest is a form of prosperity. A soft, pink mug for your morning tea, turning a daily habit into a moment of nourishment. Blush-toned sheets or pillowcases, bringing tenderness to the way you rest your body each night. Even a dusty pink journal cover, a safe space for your dreams to land without judgment. And don't forget the smallest, subtlest forms. A pink candle by the bathtub, a pink-tinted stone near your wallet, a single fresh rose on the table where you eat breakfast. These quiet signals shift the energy more than bold declarations ever could. Pink also pairs beautifully with grounding tones, earthy browns, warm whites, gentle grays. This keeps its energy mature, balanced, and calm. If your space already has strong masculine tones, metals, dark woods, sharp lines, pink becomes the balm. The soft landing after strong intention. But perhaps the most profound place to use pink is near your mirror. Not for vanity, but for tenderness. Place a pink-toned cloth near your mirror, a rose quartz stone. A note to yourself in soft ink. So that when you look at your reflection, not just to check your face, but to see yourself, the energy that greets you is one of compassion. Because true wealth is not just in the numbers you track or the things you buy. It's in how deeply you allow yourself to feel safe receiving. And pink reminds us that receiving isn't passive. It's active grace, a bold softness, a sacred yes. So if you've been chasing goals, building plans, doing all the right things and still feeling like something's missing, ask yourself, have I left space for kindness? Have I let softness lead even once? Because money may respond to strength, but it stays when it feels loved. 9. Orange, the spark that rekindles forgotten corners. Orange is sunrise in motion. It's the warm hum of something just beginning, a conversation you didn't know you needed, a laugh that escapes without warning, a sudden burst of motivation that carries you through an entire afternoon. If red is fire and yellow is light, then orange is the dance between them, the warmth of movement, the glow of momentum. In energy work, orange is the color of vitality, creativity, and joyful action. It doesn't rush like red or float like yellow, it pulses. And that pulse is powerful in places where energy has gone quiet. Not peacefully quiet, but forgotten, dormant, a room you rarely use. A drawer full of ideas you stopped believing in. A calendar that's been blank for too long. Orange walks into those spaces and gently knocks. Are you ready to come back to life? But orange isn't just about physical energy. It touches something deeper, the emotional memory of aliveness. The part of you that once felt excited to try, to make, to move. And in homes where life has slowed too much, where every day feels like repetition, or where change has left an invisible fog, orange becomes the invitation to feel again. One woman I guided had turned her guest room into a storage space after her children moved out. She said it felt heavy, though nothing particularly painful had happened there. Still, every time she walked past the door, her body tensed. We entered together. The room was neutral, beige, still. Nothing was broken, but nothing was alive. I asked what that room used to be. Her eyes softened. "It used to be my craft space," she said, almost in a whisper. "We didn't renovate. We didn't spend money. We brought in one orange lamp, a soft, warm glow. We added a terracotta pillow to the chair in the corner. We opened the window and let late afternoon light find its way in. Within days, she was back in there. Not crafting yet, but sitting, sipping tea, thinking. A month later, she sent me a photo. Watercolor supplies spread out on that same chair. The room hadn't changed. She had, with orange leading the way. That's the quiet miracle of orange. It reawakens what we forgot we loved. It brings us back into conversation with ourselves. And when used intentionally, it gently reactivates areas of life and money that have grown dull through delay or neglect. But like all vibrant colors, orange must be used sparingly with care. Too much, and it becomes overstimulating, the kind of energy that starts 10 projects but finishes none. A room painted entirely in orange can feel restless, like it's always asking you to move. That's not what we want. We want invitation, not insistence. So where does orange belong? In places that need re-entry, reuse, re-attention. Think of it as the jumper cable of your home. A burnt orange cushion on a reading chair you've stopped using. A ceramic orange bowl placed in a hallway that feels forgotten. A single orange candle in a room you want to return to energetically or emotionally. Orange also loves warmth. It pairs beautifully with woods, creams, soft metals. In the kitchen, it invites connection. Think apricot-toned dish towels, a clay mug, an orange-glazed fruit bowl on the table. These tiny touches say, life is being made here. Not perfectly, but joyfully. In your workspace, orange is wonderful when you're starting something new, a business, a book, a habit. Just a hint, a pen, a coaster, a plant pot, enough to say, yes, I'm in motion. But not so much that it distracts from focus. And most importantly, orange is for your energy. On days when your creativity feels blocked or your body feels slow, wear a touch of orange, a scarf, a bracelet, even underwear. Not to be seen, but to feel seen by your own aliveness. One client I supported had been in a long stretch of waiting. Waiting for the next phase, the next answer, the next spark. She began lighting an orange candle every evening at sunset. No intention, no ritual, just light. After 2 weeks, she wrote, "It's like my body remembered how to look forward to things." Because that's what orange does. It reminds you there's something worth getting up for, even if you don't know what it is yet. So ask yourself gently, where in your home or heart have things gone dim, not out of pain, but simply because you stopped visiting them? And would you let orange walk in with its little lantern of warmth and say, it's time to feel alive again? You've walked through color not as paint swatches or fashion trends, but as living frequencies, quiet messengers. Not just red or gold or blue, but movement, light, breath, rest. And now, maybe, you find yourself seeing your home differently. Not as rooms to be filled, but as energies to be felt. Not as spaces to decorate, but as spaces that speak. And sometimes, spaces that have been waiting far too long to be heard. There's something sacred in the way you choose a color after you've listened, after you've stopped asking, "What should I add?" and started wondering, "What needs to soften here?" You stop designing for the world's gaze and begin curating energy that makes you feel whole. Perhaps it's no longer about lucky colors. Perhaps it never was. Perhaps it's always been about resonance. How your surroundings echo the shape of your own becoming. Because wealth doesn't just follow action, it follows alignment. It shows up when you no longer grip but open. When your space isn't shouting but breathing. When your days don't feel like proving but returning to stillness, to clarity, to purpose. And in this quiet space you've now arrived at, you may realize the most powerful shift isn't in the color of your walls, or your pillows, or your rug, but in the quality of attention you now bring to them. The small gesture of lighting a candle with presence. The choice to clear a drawer not because it's messy, but because it's no longer needed. The act of seeing beauty in your own corner of the world, just as it is. So now, as the final color settles, as the room breathes again, as you come home not to a house, but to yourself, let me leave you with one question, not to answer, but to hold gently in your day. What is the color of your energy when no one is watching?